Welcome back. Some new rules about realtor commissions go into effect this week all around the country. A series of lawsuits against the National Association of Realtors resulted in a settlement agreement to resolve claims by home sellers about broker commissions. So joining us this morning is 9 News real estate expert Lane Lyon. Lane, thanks so much for being here. Sure. He's a realtor and managing broker, I should say, at Coldwell Banker. We always appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me on. Nice to see you.
So first of all, if you could explain for us what exactly these new rules that are going to affect, what do they say and what do they mean for home buyers and sellers?
It's a great question, and I think that clients are going to see a couple of things. First, some updated language in the contracts between you and your realtor, just about how that realtor is being compensated for their services. And I think kind of the biggest change that we're going to see here locally is that any offer by the seller to compensate the buyer's agent will be coming off of the multiple listing service, the MLS. Prior to all of this was kind of advertised out there and a little bit more available. Now it's going to bring those conversations between clients and brokers on a case-by-case basis when you're looking at houses. Overall, Mark, I think that more transparency is better. We really were ahead of the curve here in Colorado because our agreements have always spelled out who's going to pay the realtors and how much. Commissions have always been negotiable here in Colorado, but I think, Mark, that wasn't as clear in other states, which in my opinion is how we landed in this legal mess.
So let's talk a little bit more about what buyers need to know, because historically sellers have agreed to pay both the buying agent as well as the listing agent commission. Talk a little bit more about what this means.
Sure, that really kind of historically has been how it's played out here in Colorado, although sellers haven't had to pay if they don't want to. So I think it's important if you are buying a house to understand how realtors get paid. And first of all, there's really two ways. First, the seller can agree to pay the buyer's agent, which is what you were talking about, which historically has been what we've seen here locally, but they haven't had to. And in cases where the seller isn't willing to, per our agreement together, Mark, the buyer would be obligated to make up the difference and pay their agent. Now,
interesting.
I know what a lot of people are thinking. Gosh, it's already expensive enough.
Yeah.
I've got closing costs, the interest rates are high. I really don't want to have to pay commission now if I don't have to. And it's important to note that the buyer can still add that compensation to the offer and make it a part of the negotiations. Really, and this has been the case for a while, but just like we want the swing set in the backyard, want to negotiate the fridge in the garage, want to negotiate the commission in the price of the house. So these are conversations that I think as a buyer you should just be asking, is the seller paying compensation? And if not, am I willing to take the risk of that, paying that, or do we want to look at a different house?
So really quickly, let's talk about interest rates, because we've been seeing a lot of headlines about that the interest rates finally going down a little bit. What does that mean for the real estate industry? What does that mean for people who say, I haven't been able to afford a house, but maybe now can I get in?
Yeah, it's starting to make some positive differences.
Yeah.
Which was this all really kind of this downward trend happened last week when a jobs report came out. We anticipate the Fed will cut interest rates in September. At least we're hoping that will be the case because, yes, it does result in lower mortgage rates. Already, Mark, we're seeing buyers who are saving between $200 and $400 a month with average prices, just bringing these rates now into the low 6% range. We'd like to see that trend continue because there's a lot of people hanging out on the sidelines, waiting for the rates to cut just to get a little bit easier. I think we'll see it.
It's amazing what just a quarter of a percentage point can do when you're buying a house. So.
Hey, it's a great investment long term.
Seriously. Lane, always appreciate you stopping by. Great to talk with you.
Appreciate it.
Instead, check out the weather.